Sunday drum circles, Mount Shasta. You got to come. You'll get to make friends like this. Hi, Karen.
Hey.
What's going on?
Not too bad.
What does this Sunday drum circle mean to you?
This is church for me. I've been coming and drumming here in Mount Shasta I started coming in 2012. I started living here in 2014. I've been drumming here the entire time. I started drumming before I even knew anybody here, and that's how I kind of met the community and met myself.
So what called you to Mount Shasta your first time? Was it like...
I don't know, to be honest. I was kind of on that wave, and first time I ever came here, when I left, it hurt to be gone, and I felt like there was a magnet that kind of like activated in my heart, and when I was away from here, it gave me anxiety, and I felt like I had to come home. So I made it happen. It happened for me. Yeah.
Wow. How long after hearing about Shasta your first time did you make it here?
Maybe like 10 months or so. I learned about Shasta from a brother at Occupy, first person I ever talked to at Occupy.
Uh-huh.
And he used to come stay at my house and get a little reprieve from the city. We were at Occupy SF, San Francisco. And he would just kind of like leave stuff at my house, take showers, and he left a big old 5-gallon tank of water from the Mount Shasta Springs.
No way, your introduction was the water?
Yeah, behind my couch for months. And I never touched it. He's like, oh, you didn't drink it? And I was just like, I'm not going to drink water out of a spring. That's, I didn't trust that at all.
Oh my, how things have changed.
Yeah, I know, and then I lived off of it. Yeah, so I guess it was the water, and actually no, there were things that called me here. I had a dream in 2012 before Occupy.
Wow.
And I was shown what I was supposed to be doing, and before that, like at that time, I was living a mainstream life. I had been working regular jobs. At one point, I was an ice technician in Oakland at the ice rink down there for about a year. That was the last real, like, on paper job that I had before Occupy. And then so anyway, the dream was, I was in the forest. I was wearing all black. I had a very small backpack, and I had to bring people, families with children, by foot from different like safe houses to the next, and then pass them off to somebody, and then go back and get more people.
No way, wow.
Mm-hmm. And it showed me like I was in the general mountainous forested area, and so I just like everything that I did after that kind of started to go that way. But I was like a middle class, well, not even full middle class, but I was living a mainstream life in Castro Valley in the Bay Area, and I took my kids to the playground and did normal stuff, and then I had that crazy dream.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of how my mind started to be open. I started to see things that were happening in the world, and I started to hoard water. I was scared. I didn't know anybody.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the non-fluoridated nursery water, I was like buying as much as I could.
Yeah. So how did your expectations of what Mount Shasta would be live up to your first impressions? Sounds like a smart question. I've literally asked that question like 30 times in interviews because it's a good question.
I did not know what to expect. I had already had somewhat of an introduction through Occupy into aspects of like rainbow and yeah, rainbow and, you know, this whole like Burning Man culture and stuff.
yeah.
I've never gone.
And there's all the places I go: Rainbow, Slap City,
Yeah, it just
Shasta,
seems,
Burning Man.
yeah, I didn't even know about Shasta. I had no expectation. The first time I came here, like I said, my heart was magnetized and I was in love. And I love people, and it was more than I had ever had in the life that I had before. And I had just recently been separated from my husband, and he was moving on with a new partner, and it was all understood. This was part of my journey coming here and finding home, and it took a long time. I'm home now, but like I was always home. Like I was living. Sometimes I was living in a van. Sometimes I was living in a backpack and traveling with that guy over there and just going and sleeping in the woods.
Which one?
This guy Marty, he's got his back to us.
And the
Black
drum.
beanie.
Right
Yeah.
there. Cool.
Yeah, we've been drumming together.
Marty. Yeah. I see you guys. You guys, that's like your spot on lockdown. All 3 of the past Sundays. I see that.
I sit there because then I can see the playground and keep an eye on my daughter.
No way. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I bet she loves coming here, playing with all the kids. She probably has so many like friends that she's made over the time.
Yeah, the kids she's playing with right now, some of them she's known since she was about 2 years old. Some of them she met 3 years ago.
What's funny is I gave away so much of that weed, it's all just blowing away in big puffs.
Probably holding it a little bit.
Earlier, a lot. There were like 5 people with joints. It felt good.
Yeah, I've been smoking the wrong weed lately.
You grabbed some, right?
Huh?
You grabbed some, right?
I did not. I would not just grab somebody's weed.
No, I offered it to everyone. I must have missed you.
I wasn't here.
Yeah, you get like a handful of CBD, a handful of THC for free if you want. Everyone else did.
I'll take you up on that later.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we had some like serious stuff that's like your angle, and I forget what it is, and I'm supposed to remember and like lean in. Where you're supposed to jump it out. What were you? What was it?
What do I do?
No, what was? There's an angle we were talking. Now I'm like cheating. We'll just figure it out.
Me coming here, I've been drumming with Marty for 10 years.
But yeah, you were talking about that. I feel like there's something we mentioned earlier that you were going to dive deep into. I forget now. Maybe not. All right, cut.
Okay.
Just kidding. No. I'm not cutting. I don't do cuts. All right, I'm going to let you talk now. All right, so tell me about a time that you struggled, right? And felt like you weren't going to make it through, and you like held on to that last shred, and you stayed positive, and you came through, and like because of that struggle, everything ended up better. If you're willing to.
Yeah, no.
It's not an easy one.
That's everything right there.
You know,
That's the whole thing.
And like, you know, like if you're willing to outline any part of that you went through.
Do you have time?
Yeah, I got plenty of space on my SD card. I got a 256 gig SD card.
When I came here, I was immediately alienated from my family. My children, I didn't mean for this to happen. This is how it happened. And so it was hard it was hard and humiliating and devastating and lonely and pointless being a non-custodial mother. And none of the good things that I knew about myself even weighed anything against losing access to my kids, and I felt so guilty that I didn't do anything about it. All I could do was, you know, put out that I was available to work and go work and then come see my kids for a minute and then go work again, but it was unbearable trying to navigate that relationship because I was their primary caregiver and their mother. I nursed them. I had them. I knew I was going to have them. I knew who they were going to be before I had them, you know, and that's something you shouldn't ever mess with, you know. But that's my current battle. It's been 10 years of maintaining a relationship with my kids, and they're great. And I'm so proud of them. And they've surpassed me in their lives, and they know what they're seeing, you know, even though they don't express it because they're kids. They're not here to express that right now.
A lighter? Yeah. Okay.
No, the water.
Yeah, I have water. Do you need some?
Yes, please.
Help yourself.
Thank you.
It's from a spring.
This one?
Yeah. I have plastic, but that's just me giving it a second life. So you're dealing with that, and you must have got to a really hard point at some time. Like it must have been like a pinch point.
I was unable to provide what they needed, which is why I didn't fight for them. They were in a good place, and I trust their father for the things that matter. And in the dream that I had, I was told that I was going to be away from them, and he needed to go south, and he was going to take the kids, and I needed to trust him for the things that mattered most. And for that, I still do. And for everything else, I think that he's become somebody unrecognizable, and he has forced me to be a better person and try to give them everything that I couldn't give them in the way that they can have it and receive it. So we have a different, our relationship looks different, but we enjoy every minute together, and I'm so glad to be their mom. But I miss them so much that I decided to have a child with somebody else and fall in love with them. Actually met them right there.
No way. Was it a Sunday?
It was Day Out of Time. I decided to hold an event Day Out of Time because I do dream spell. I studied dream spell 1320 frequency.
Yeah.
And
what's that?
It's similar to Mayan calendar things, which I have not studied in depth.
With like the 3 circles that roll in on each other type thing?
Yeah, sort of.
Isn't that how the Mayan calendar works? 3 separate calendars that
Yeah.
are circles that roll inside each other?
One's in Mayan and one's in Aztec, and I'm not studied enough to.
And you can do like advanced math with them and shit. Yeah, we're both smart. We're both smart. We're both smart. Or we just agree and sound smart.
This helped
Tell
me. Just learning little things about myself. I've studied many forms of astrology. My grandma spoke astrology to me when I was young, and her father was an astrologer. She passed away, which is one of the impactful things in my life because we were very close and we were very alike. And when I started studying dream spell, I learned that she was a red solar moon and I was a red galactic moon. So that I'm a red 8 moon, she's a red 9 moon. And there are no other moons in our family. And the things that she influenced me on were the exact things that are like key traits of red moon. So I was so influenced by it that I have held a Day Out of Time event, or said that I would be here for Day Out of Time every year since then and hold space for it, even if nobody knows what it is. There's another brother here, Forrest, who actually was friends with Jose Arguelles, who was Valim Votan. He was like the next emanation of Valim Votan, or is it Pakal Votan? One of them was this, ancient dude. The one you see the ancient astronaut in the pyramid. Actually, I'm good.
Cool.
He's in that that thing like this. And then there's like this, basically like a rocket or I don't know if it's a rocket or if it's a, portal opener. I don't know. It's an inscription on his tomb. You'll see it around. People don't know what it is, but that's what it is, and that's who that is.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so this guy was basically the reincarnation of that dude, and he came in with all this information, and I was actually originally introduced to that in 2012, before I even knew about this whole galactic signature, and that there was a time frequency, calendar that you could track based on this other information. So my buddy Josh introduced me to Cosmic History Chronicles that he'd come across on YouTube, and he's like, hey, I think you'd be interested in this. And I started listening to it, and I was like, oh my God. And it just unraveled some mysteries for me. I can't even really I can't speak in his language, but It was like a decoder. It was a decoder ring that was available to my mind for anything that I could look at or perceive. You know, it like brought more meaning to everything. So it's a study of synchronicity.
Wow.
And the Tolkien, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, that's the 260 count calendar, the 20 seals and 13 tones, and one of each seal and tone. So 13 times 20 equaling 260. 1320 is 13 tones and 20 seals is the time frequency. So as opposed to this Gregorian calendar, 24 hours in a day, that's the 1260, I think, 1260, that sounds right, which kind of programs your brain for irregular cycles, and it omits meaning behind energy. Things, you know, in like the average frequency, like things just don't have the meaning that they do until you look at it. Hey. What's that?
Just put it in.
Oh. You can eat anything you want in that cooler. That cooler. And can you bring me my water, please?
Hope it's not mine.
No, that was like anyway, where am I going? Okay.
You're talking about the
1320,
frequency,
yeah.
and you're talking about,
Leaving? Anyway, bye.
and you're talking about the ceremony that you do, and you're talking about how that's where you met her father.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And you were kind of saying, you're kind of like, I thought you were getting at the fact that, like, although you went through that struggle and you still are, that, like, the repercussion, or like the final outcome is this beautiful little girl that just came up and said hi.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to speak it for you, but that was the direction I thought you were headed.
Thank you. It is.
Yes.
And thank you, because I was like, it's just going down memory lane with that.
Yeah, you were holding it all together. You were just getting a nice wide angle for it, and
yeah,
I just thought I'd reiterate because I am listening and not just holding a camera.
So 1320 helped me realize a bunch of things. I felt that it was important to spread awareness about that and to share it with people. And also, Day Out of Time is a really special day. It's a day out of time, like without frequency, and everything just kind of opens up. And so I consider July 25th a sort of New Year's Day, like a day of renewal, a day of forgiveness, a day of release and healing and sharing. And so 1320 frequency means time is art.
Wow. I mean,
and there's all kinds of things to break down, you know, within it.
The way we spend it is, I mean, it's a form of expression. It is an art. It's like an art and a meme, you know, you're passing it down.
Yeah, there's a pause, you know. It's like a lot of other days maybe have more to do with aesthetics and getting it right. And on that day, it's kind of like everything is right. You can just step into it and accept that from now on.
Wow.
You know, and just do things the way that you would have done them had you known better.
Yeah. So what are some of your most special experiences that aren't too personal that you've had on Mount Shasta? Like, have you had anything?
Oh, you know, I didn't even tell you, like, the devastating thing that happened. I met this person.
The crux point.
The crux point. I met this beautiful person here, and the whole world cleared behind him, and it became a hologram, and we had this beautiful child together.
Yeah, she's so pretty.
She looks just like him, and she's super tall, and he was just, you know, when we were together, we were never apart. But
plus, it was a Shasta romance.
Huh?
Plus, it was a Shasta romance.
Oh, that's rare.
I've only ever had one here.
I try not to ever at all.
Me too.
Actually.
Me too. Yeah.
It's not good for me.
There's a lot of energy here. It's hard.
It's just, Yeah, it's not stable for me to do that.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't generally come up. And where I am, you know, I got things I got to do, and I don't know if anybody could really align with that. And if
I'm
they
sure-
could, that might be scary.
I'm sure if that's what you wanted,
Yes.
you'd find it easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's hard to like kind of like keep that, you know, keep that up. Like
What?
you gotta set it down sometimes and just live.
The belief?
And I try to like, you know, that's a discipline.
The belief or what?
Like centering myself is a discipline that's difficult because I do want all of those things, but
Yeah.
if I kind of like tune into that frequency all the time, I lose
see.
myself a little bit.
It becomes unhealthy. Yeah, so you tune into it now.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's good advice, actually.
I have to learn it also.
What's some advice that maybe you're working on yourself that you could give to people as far as anything? Just life advice. It doesn't even have to be something, but it's funny. If I asked you about advice, you'd probably tell me something that does. So I'm just saying it outright. That's how it works. Any good advice?
Yeah. Like there are infinite angles to everything we perceive. There's unknowable angles that would change the way we see something if we were more aware. And I think, you know, some of the worst things that we could do, you know, for our relationships is assume that we know another person, and you know, when we only know them in the vacuum of our own perception.
Yeah, wow, so true.
Yeah, and like I've done things in my life that I wish I would have known that, and not been so hasty, and not put so much, you know, desire outside of myself that like nothing. Oh, I was gonna get to the meat of that story. My daughter's dad died almost 6 years ago.
No way,
and I've
really?
been raising her by myself.
I
We don't
didn't know that,
have
no way.
family. We don't really have like actual like my folks live down in the Bay, and we go see them now. But it took a long time to form that relationship, and for me to have the mobility and, you know, get a reliable vehicle and just establish everything I needed to do. We were blessed up a lot by, you know, opportunities that we received through our connections. So, you know, it's different work situations that I was able to step into and stabilize us. And people who would work with me, for instance, at the ice rink, I'm allowed to bring my daughter, and then my daughter gets to skate the entire time. And it would be really hard for me to have a regular job if I didn't have, you know, people who are so, you know, like workable. I have a lot of appreciation for this community, and, you know, giving me a chance to keep us afloat. Anyway, yeah, that was my crashing moment, is when he died.
So what, like, your daughter must have been your saving grace, I'm guessing. I mean, if I had to guess, it must have been like just so much to deal with at once, because you're already dealing with those past traumas that you're like, you know, you're coping with and already struggling with, and then you have that on top of it, you know.
She's kind of like, if I was falling off a cliff, she was sort of like a little shelf sticking out of the cliff that I like smacked down onto and didn't fall all the way, because I had to be responsible for her, so I couldn't really focus on the constant grief. And I like forgot how to cook for a couple of years. And like in the first month, I think in like the first week that it happened, I was trying to make boiled eggs. I was like, I gotta do something easy that I could just, you know, something that doesn't require anything. I tried to boil eggs, and then I went outside and spaced out, and then there was like brown smoke coming out the window, and I was like, I burnt boiled eggs. I burnt hard-boiled eggs. Like, that's where we're at. So I don't know. I was like, I won't cook without a spotter for like 3 years, and people would come cook for us, you know, come stay with us and feed us, and that became my love language, because other people cook and I eat.
So how has your integration with this community? So I like to cook. Just kidding. I love to cook. How has integrating with this community helped you in the healing process? You know, like I noticed you're here like drumming like crazy every time I see you here. It's funny because a lot of the people that are the most active people here that are like dancing or drumming, I don't really get to talk to them because they're so focused in like building that energy, you know. And there's a lot of things that people are channeling through the drumming and the dancing. And I guess I was wondering if drumming is maybe part of your healing or.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a partner that I met through Occupy, and we were together on and off for about 10 years, and he's still a good friend of mine. He brought drumming closer to me, and he used to take me with him when I lived with him and his folks in Emeryville to the Ashby BART station. Every Saturday and Sunday there would be a flea market in the good weather, and I went with him a few times. But then things ended between us, and I had become part of his family, and so he made the decision to go do something that he was going to do, and I stayed with his family for a little bit longer until it was time to come back up here. And so I started going to the BART station by myself with my drum.
No way.
I also played didgeridoo, and so that was, I was on foot, so I'd walk from Emeryville down, because I also didn't have any money. It was a fun time. I'd walk to the Ashby BART station from Emeryville sometimes, and carry my drum and my didge, and just get stronger and know myself better, have interactions with strangers, play drums and didge on street corners with strangers, just because that's what was going to happen in that moment, you know, be a passerby in people's lives. And I was able to kind of expand my world. And when I started coming up here, that was, to me, like the most comfortable common language. I wasn't going to go walk up to people, you know, like I was mainstream. You live in your house and you stay in your house.
The flower print dress.
Yeah, I shopped at Target in the clearance section a lot. That was my therapy.
I got one for you. So what do you think about plant medicine opening you up? That's what we forgot earlier. You know where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah.
What's a plant medicine that especially calls to you?
I can talk about the second one.
All right.
And the first one is near and dear to my heart, but
not for everyone.
But yeah. So in 2015, I began to understand that my daughter's father was in active addiction. I didn't know that he ever was here in Mount Shasta. I thought he only ever was when he went back home to Chicago. And we had acquired. I was up at a farm in Southern Oregon working, and I had learned about a medicine called Kambo, and everything that I was hearing about it was screaming, he needs this. And I wouldn't do it without him because I felt that everything, needed to go to him. I felt that I could help him in some way. I now see that as foolish. That's a little piece of advice. But we acquired a stick of Kambo, and I served it to him. It ended up being much later. I was pregnant with our daughter. We were homeless for a time. We moved into an apartment across the street from the hospital. And he was already using a week before she was born, and I didn't know because I'd never known that world at all. And so we had this stick of Kambo, and a friend said that he would help us because I didn't know what to do. And when he came over, he said, no, I'm not doing this, you're doing this. And I was like, what? I don't know what this is. Aren't you supposed to burn somebody, And we'd done a lot of research, but you can't know, just by that what to do and what's going to happen. You mess with
So
your
from
body.
from what I know about it, Kambo is the South American red tree dart frog. So remember like that episode
Waxy monkey
where
frog.
like Homer Simpson licked the frog and it made you hallucinate? It doesn't do that,
That's
first of all.
Bufo.
And that's not how you do it. You wouldn't lick the sweat. They like scrape the sweat off the frog and then they process it into something that.
No, they
What do? You tell me.
okay, so they call to the frog in I believe in like the early morning in the non-mating season. They only are supposed to take the adults. They never keep them in captivity. They never harm them, and they definitely never kill them. So that would be very sacrilegious and just that would be very bad. And then they do cause it stress though, and they mobilize it by tying lassos to its wrists and feet, and putting it tying those to these 4 sticks that are in the ground, and spreading the legs and the arms out. And then using like
It feels kind of good if you're doing like a massage and people pull you for
oh yeah, it's
triangles.
a lymphatic massage is
Yeah.
what they're doing on the frog, but it doesn't look good. It's not stretching the frog. It's immobile, like it's getting it in the position, but they're not pulling it.
Like Superman.
And so yeah, they scrape as soon as this is my understanding of it. As soon as the frog comes into contact with the human or into their hand, it begins exuding its secretion.
It's stressed.
Right. And that's its natural defense mechanism, but it's just going to do that anyway. But its demeanor is like of a fearless creature because they have this defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Nothing can get past that. Once it's in something's mouth, it'll like basically like receive the secretion and kind of paralyze temporarily, and then the frog will hop away. That's my understanding of it.
Yeah.
So they take the secretion off of that stick and they put it onto this paddle. No, I'm not going to do that. They put it onto this paddle, and it's dried on there, and it looks sort of like glue or egg yolk a little bit. And then they, if they are going to serve it to somebody, all they have to do is re-wet it with a little bit of water on the amount that they need, or maybe some saliva, and then scrape that up and make it into these little balls. So the way that it's administered, here, these ones you can see a little bit more fresh.
Those ones,
so these
that's
are,
got more of a pattern though. Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's kind of like if the light hits it just right.
Yeah, let me see. I think I gotta pick it up. Yeah. And so what are they?
Yeah.
What are the marks?
So this is, let me see if I can find a stick.
If you guys ever see these, especially on the West Coast, and you need to know what they are, that's from Kambo. You'll see them a lot of times.
So there'll be a stick that's, long, whatever. This, and what they use in the Amazon is they call it tamishi vine, but really you can use a stick as long, like any stick, as long as it has a consistent burn on it. Some people use incense or Japanese incense, which are scentless. And so you light the stick, and then it'll be a glowing ember, and then you'll touch it to the skin like that, and then it'll leave this little blister. You'll wipe that blister off. That's burning the gate. Wiping that off is opening the gate. And then when you do that, you can see the white skin underneath, and that's called the subcutaneous layer, and that's where all the blood vessels are accessible. So once you've opened the gate, then you can take that little ball of secretion. Yeah. It actually goes all the way up my arm, but it's old and faded. So you take that little secretion, that little ball, and that's called a point, and you lay that on the gate, and the peptides that are in the secretion will travel through the water, and we'll keep the point wet. Will travel through the water into your bloodstream and elicit your own body's response. Some of the things that happen is so it's peptide-based therapy. So these are strings of amino acids that I'm a little foggy, you know, on like the university science, but they'll bind with different receptors in our body and cause it to do whatever that thing specifically does. So the two that I researched the most are delmorphine and deltorphine, and those are opiate peptides, which will bind with the opiate receptors in your central nervous system and your paracentral nervous system, which is throughout your body, all of your nerves. And it's said to be like this many times more powerful than morphine as
Wow.
a painkiller.
No way.
And with lasting effects. And it also, due to a chemical process, it will expel any alkaloids that are on those receptors and basically do a rapid detox. For this is just my understanding of it. I've researched a bunch of like scientific articles, but I might have a limited understanding of what I was reading.
Are there hallucinogenic effects or effects of euphoria?
Not whatsoever.
Yeah, I knew that, but I was just trying to get you to say.
It's important. That's important to share.
Yeah, so a lot of people like assume it's like going to be something you use to get high, but it's really it's like draining your lymph.
It's not enjoyable whatsoever.
You like cough. You have to drink like 2 gallons of water beforehand or something, don't you?
I don't ask people to drink that much water.
Because you spit it all out your nose because you're like draining everything. I mean, these are.
They can happen.
Wow.
I ask people to drink about 1.5 of these, more if they can, but it's important to me that they're uncomfortable and that they've also fasted from solid food for 6 hours ahead of time, and that they're not like partaking in any alcohol, especially close to the treatment or ceremony.
Too much to purge?
Yeah, it's a purge, and so...
You don't want all the extra toxins involved.
Or just the weight. It's unpleasant. I ask people, I recommend, that they do whatever they need to do to feel strong the day before, and that we sit with medicine in the morning so that they're in like a natural fast. All they have to do is not eat breakfast, but, we can do it whenever, as long as they haven't put solid foods in their body. There's also other contraindications, which, like, Kambo is safe, but because of the effects on the body, if people have these certain body issues, it may be dangerous to them, and it's something that needs to be discussed. There have been deaths, that where Kambo was involved.
Wow.
So I just want to. The only reason I stress that is not to scare anybody, but that people are very informed on their own of their decisions, and that they, talk to lots of people who've done it. They have a trained, competent facilitator who has a direct source to their medicine, and they, know the integrity of it. And, respect what it is and where it comes from. People really value what this is. This is something that's such a gift to have here, because what it can do for people can help with addiction, heroin addiction, any kind of substance addiction. It can assist people who are struggling with cancer. It can cut off like the food supply for tumors is one thing I was learning. I think it's called angiostatic. It can help people through depression, cancer, diabetes, Lyme disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, bacterial infections, parasites, long list.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a clearing medicine. I call it subtractive medicine. That's my word for it. My mentor, she has used the word non-journey medicine, meaning non-psychedelic. It forces you to really be in your body. It's very uncomfortable. When the peptides enter your bloodstream, they begin to clear out your artery system and your lymphatic system. Basically, any toxins that are in your organs, or even in different parts of your muscle tissue. Like if you're having some sort of bacterial infection under your skin, I'll see like blotches, you know, kind of light up red when the person has the medicine in them, and then, you know, oftentimes the person will say like, wow, I've never even had that problem again after this.
No way.
I
have a pilonidal cyst that it's gotten a huge pilonidal cyst. It's a huge cyst on my tailbone. It grew to the size of a grapefruit once.
Of a what?
It grew to the size of a grapefruit. It's on my butt crack right where my tailbone is, and it just was the whole space between my up high. And so basically it's caused because it's normally in Caucasian men with thick, healthy, oily hair. And it's basically an ingrown hair that goes up around the tailbone and the spine. So even if they were to try to take it out, I could lose feeling in my legs and use of my legs, and there's a 1 in 4 chance of it just growing back. So I just deal with it, and it's basically been like a 15 to 20 year infection. It just doesn't go away. It's just in my tailbone, and the amount of stress I have determines how good it's doing. So I live a carefree life, and if I'm stressed or if I'm not good at my emotional regulation at that point, then it just gets horrible. Sometimes I have to go to the hospital, get it lanced. I should try Kambo.
There's a bacterial infection?
Yeah, it's like a non-stop, never-ending one because it's like a cyst that just keeps, it's deep. It's all around my tailbone.
Internal?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Yeah, no. Are you aware of ozone therapy?
No. I'm fine. It's better now. As you get older, it's better. It's been worse. When I almost went I got sepsis, and it was bad. I had to stay in the hospital. But I just try to the cold water therapy helps because of my lymph. So the cold water Wim Hof stuff, it really starts to get healthy, you know, and that's also good because it's good for cortisol and stuff, isn't it too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say the stress level impacts that.
I do well with ashwagandha, and I just don't have. I'm on the road. I don't have all my. I usually take red Penax ginseng, ginkgo biloba, ashwagandha, and
So those are for stress, but.
I just have high anxiety, and it causes impact on my body.
Yeah.
Again, it's part of my emotional regulation, which probably goes to my ADHD and stuff. But.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I get it. Understanding this stuff helps me a lot. You ever see the YouTube channel? It's called How to ADHD. She's amazing. You got to check her out. Oh, she's really good.
I saw a girl who had boxes, and she was going room to room and putting the things that go in the rooms in those boxes, and then till she was done.
Yeah, this she talks about it fast.
I actually have high functioning ADHD.
Me too.
No focus, but everything happens.
I'm hyper focused ADHD. If I don't have a hyper focus, then I'm like a border collie that you don't take on a walk. And if anyone knows border collies, they're really smart, really loving, hard workers. But if they don't have a purpose or a job, which is walking or running,
I have a purpose, and it's never ending. So I have to constantly be walking in a circle.
A kid, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have. Yeah, I got a backpack, so I got to stay busy, and it's nice. My solitude gives me opportunities to pursue awesome, crazy shit, but whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. If we were to wrap up, we covered a lot of fun topics. We talked about the calendars and the numbers that affect you. We talked about a deep trauma that you were nice enough to share. That's tough. That's not easy, but it'll probably help someone who's dealing with their own and how they can help, process it and see how maybe talking to a stranger is a good way of externalizing it. I don't know you, but now I know you.
I actually love talking to strangers.
But now I know you. Yeah, this is how we should all be.
Yeah, no, we're never gonna have this again.
And we're friends now, so.
Yeah, you'll never be a stranger.
Yeah, but yeah, anything you want to summarize or final messages or
Yeah, I don't know if I'm really qualified to say anything to anybody else. They seem to be doing a good job doing whatever they do.
All right, what do you think's the meaning of life? That's the last thing. What's the meaning of life to you?
Still on that one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was something that I don't feel I could even calculate until I was at the end of it looking back.
See,
I think it has meaning, but it's going to be different for every person, and it's going to look like a movie.
Yeah, but what about yours? Yeah, what's yours?
I love my family. really special that I get to be here at this time. In Mount Shasta, yeah, but in the world, on this timeline with all these beautiful people. And I don't know, what other times I've ever existed, if any. I can't know that for sure, but I feel like, those people, I don't know them, but they're my family,
Well, now you got a wider family because you got all these people watching. There won't be many at first, but it'll be more once the channel starts growing like it was on my last one.
My cousins.
So there now, you got a wider family.
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Karen. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. I'm going to go back and dance somewhere before it's done.